Most people think a call center is a building full of headsets like my guest today is wearing and scripts. But my guest actually thinks a call center is a cathedral of human communication. And
Mm.
he would argue that the phone is actually the last place on earth where a stranger's voice can still change your entire day. At the age of 27, Richard Blank left Northeast Philadelphia for Costa Rica on what was actually supposed to be a short trip. Guess what? He never returned home. He learned the business from the inside. And in his mid 30s, he started from a single seat and built it into a bilingual operation that has trained over thousands of agents. He also owns the largest collection of restored American pinball machines in Central America, and he has actually used them to run his company. So I want you to stay with me because we are not talking about a hobby today. We're talking about a leadership system. Welcome to the Clarity Mandate, Richard Blank.
Well, doctor, I am so happy to be with you and your amazing audience today. Now, behind the scenes, we had to work on it a lot to get here today, but
Thank you for your grace. Thanks for giving us some grace with our scheduling
of
issues. But
course, listen, I made the cut. I would have done anything to be on your show. So
thank you.
you are
We
great. Anyway, I just want your audience to know there are two individuals out there that worked very hard to be here today.
Thanks, Richard. So you were in your 20s, around
Yes.
27, in a foreign
Mhm.
country with a one-way pattern forming around what was supposed to be a temporary kind of trip. Most people
Yes.
in your kind of position will feel the same uncertainty that you did. But guess what? They would go back home. You stayed and you eventually built. I don't want the romance of the story. I want the mechanics of the decision. What was the specific signals to you that made you to trust staying and building, and what made you to understand that this was actually a strong signal and not just some wishful kind of thinking? Because think about going somewhere for what was supposed to be a short trip and then making a decision to stay and build the way you have done. It's really something I'd like you to speak to.
Of course. In fact, it's one of my favorite subjects. Doctor, as you know, being bilingual, it beareth the mark of higher education. It's something you can bring with you, and it's not heavy. And so I was coming to Costa Rica, as they say in baseball, starting on third base. I had momentum. Spanish was my major in college. I had an open mind in regards to other cultures. And I was willing to leave my culture behind and get past certain guilt, pressures, and expectations
Wow.
and try to live a free and beautiful life. Now, 27 is an interesting age, doctor. You have some individuals in the past that were very prominent at 27, like Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and Kurt Cobain. These individuals were at the peak, but then again, they're preserved. And so at 27, it's almost like your soul is telling you to have a hero's journey, to go out there and drink life and test the waters and see what you got. See if you got some grit and vigor. And so when I was given this one in a million opportunity, I wasn't foolish. I realized that after 2 months and seeing this environment, especially the call center environment where it seemed easy to me, that I knew that this was the best soil for my plant to grow.
Wow.
And so I was able to put everything aside and think of myself first and what would give me the most beautiful and fulfilled life. And thankfully, I've been here for 25 years, celebrating 19 in business. And it's been a dream, and fortune does favor the brave. And if you're willing to take that grand leap of faith and really give it your all, don't be surprised if you do not go the distance like a prize fighter. And even if you don't win, like Chuck Wepner, who went the distance with Ali, they still make a movie after you as a winner.
Richard, you are not just building a call center. It's like you can actually write poetry the way you respond. But let's stay on the subject. Relocation is really one leap. But starting your own company in a foreign land in your 30s, after you already understand and you knew how the business was from the inside, for me, that was really a second quarter leap for you, not just being out there and being in the call center, but actually leaving where you were to start your own. And for me, someone can say, first moving into that country, Costa Rica, where you are enjoying and it's home, and you're telling me about how beautiful it is. Someone can be like, oh no, that was like a big leap. But taking the second leap of actually going out there and starting your own organization, training agents, owning the system yourself, what does the clarity moment look like for you? What gave you the certainty that you could not just let fears or anything else stand in the way of you doing what you've actually done by building the organization?
Yes, Doctor. Well, fear is that morbid anticipation of things that haven't happened yet, the big old boogeyman. When you're given information and clarity, it reduces stress and fear. And let's be realistic. On a hockey team, I'm a goalie. I'm not a left winger. I know my position, I know my place. And in Costa Rica, I needed to
My son is
fear.
he used to be a goalie in hockey.
That's right, double pad stacks. Bertie Perrant, my hero. Think of this, doctor, as me being a trunk of a tree. I needed roots and branches in order for stability and growth. And I did not have the time, the patience, maturity, or the cognitive skills to go to school for IT, to go to law school in Costa Rica to learn the labor laws, to go to school for accounting and all those and human resources. I didn't have the time. Too much weight, it would have made me miserable. And so I had to hire specialists, home court advantage individuals that could speak for me, show me the way, make it easier so I could concentrate on what I do the best. And so um, that's a trust factor. I prefer to promote from within, but when it was specialists, naturally you needed certain certifications and different things. But I surrounded myself with individuals who saw the vision. This was a brand new company back in 2008 that was starting. I was renting a turnkey station at a blended center, like an internet cafe. It wasn't fancy, but I was able to pay, make my margin, and run a business. But also, I'm going to tell you something. Man, that was the greatest time ever, doctor. Yeah, it's fancy now. I got the building and all the bells and whistles. But when you first start out and that little spark turns into a flame, flame into a fire, and then it becomes an inferno, you realize you created something from nothing like magic. And so I look fondly upon those days. I know it was a grind and it wasn't first class conditions, but the people that were with me saw me grinding it out, as you were mentioning, and setting the example of someone showing up to work and paying the taxes and just being there motivating you. And so, um, and there's also, doctor, some people that want to be seen and noticed and given that chance to be a squire to a knight and promoted compared to one that works at an Amazon, for an example, will be lost amongst thousands. And so we were selective and individuals gravitated towards us because they wanted that sort of mentorship. They wanted me to invest in their career, make them more self-confident and self-reliant.
Yeah.
And so you could always hire, doctor, that dirty dozen. You don't need a whole army. And so I was able to grow my company row by row and seat by seat and finding the right people. And so that's how I did it. That was the best leadership, paying it forward in my own way. And that was received and given such a positive reinforcement that it gave me enough go-go juice to keep going.
Wow, that just speaks to who you are and some of the things I've been reading about you. I mean, let's pay off the pinball. You've said build an environment. You're building an environment, you're not just building a call center. And you literally play pinball with your employees. The call center industry, I mean, it's famous for talking about scripts, burnouts, and people living under pressure, but you build the opposite. So I want you to break down the system for me. How does gamification, culture, and play becomes such kind of, in my view, a measurable performance and retention system for what you have actually built out there?
Yes, doctor. Well, my good friend, I'm not going to lie to you. We have burnout, large attrition, scripts and rebuttals and training, you name it. That doesn't go away in a call center. But what I attempted to do was increase their vocabulary, their strategy, and their diplomacy through certain rhetoric, semantics, tone adjustments, certain strategic pausing. We can get into those mechanics, but the game room. Oh, and so many reasons. What a happy medium. It's a place to let off steam, hang out with me. I grew up in the 80s owning a pinball machine. It was like Ricky Schroeder and Silver Spoons. It was a dream. And so one man's trash is another man's treasure. And if someone's selling a pinball machine, I'm going to say, "Hey, Doc, come on, let's drive 4 hours to Ernesto Dome with a couple wads of 20s and come back with these machines." And what did that do? It was almost like a Willy Wonka effect. When people were coming in interviewing my company, they saw the game room and they realized this was a place that, besides working hard, you could have fun and meet people from different departments. But psychologically, Doc, it's almost like when you watch someone that runs in a city and they're at a stoplight, they run in place to keep their momentum. If you come downstairs and you get on your phone for Instagram or go have a cigarette and just veg out, you ice a kicker. But if you get on that pinball machine or my arcade machines, what you're doing is using hand-eye coordination, timing, but you're keeping in rhythm. So when you go upstairs, you're even stronger than before. And I always believed in play. That's why we had recess as children. But you know what it really is? I got to see somebody laugh. Not at me, and not at something stupid, but when you're seeing someone play and you see them laugh, first, they laugh funny so you can tease it. But doctor, you see a different side. They lower the mask. It's the real person. And so there's even the haptics, the touch on the shoulder, which you're really not supposed to touch your boss. But if we had a great game of air hockey and you just beat me by the goal, you're like, "Yeah, boss, what again?" Look at that sort of bonding, anchoring, bridging, and connecting. And so there's nothing wrong with hanging out with your boss and playing games. And then we can go upstairs and play.
Wow, that's just amazing, Richard. That's just amazing what you've built out there. And it's not surprising that you've trained thousands of bilingual agents at that volume. I mean, you cannot rely just on talent and charisma. I believe that you need kind of, you've talked about your systems and all that, but you need really a repeatable kind of system that will turn some ordinary Joe out of college or out of high school, whatever it is, to someone that a complete stranger from the outside can actually feel comfortable talking with. And for me, I want you to talk about one of the single most common mistakes that maybe your new agent make, that maybe most executives might not actually signal, but the kind of systems that you have put together can help you really build, because the numbers don't lie, the numbers of agents that you've trained.
Yes, and the metrics, of course.
That's right.
The number one rule that people need to do when communicating is to listen. I know what I know. I'd love to know what you know. Your priority might not be mine. It's a great way to, I guess, shed time, cut the fat, focus on areas. And if someone is interested in one topic, stop the horizontal, go to the vertical, and just ask a ton of open ended questions that require explanation. It's like the books Choose Your Own Adventure. I'm just the rudder of your ship. You lead me in this dance.
Yeah.
It's all good. And you'd be surprised when you're doing 30-second checkpoints, doctor, by asking tie down or clarification questions. If things make sense, sounds good, may we move forward? That on a 10-minute conversation, you probably have 20, 30-second checkpoints. So no doors are left open. And then you wonder why people convert more calls, have better metrics in regards to talk time, first call resolution, upselling, referrals, you name it.
Wow.
It's not like they're slick or the Wolf of Wall Street. No, they have beautiful structure. They ask the right questions. They listen. And through certain deduction, they dance with the beautiful art of speech. And if they're exceptionally creative, which I believe, they should close their eyes. And once again, removing your taste, touch, and smell on the phone, your hearing should be expanded. But what about image streaming? Doctor, put color in your words. Really be descriptive, and you'll capture them. And then when that happens, it's just the most. You were mentioning strangers before. Strangers are friends you haven't met yet. You and I have been communicating. This is the first time we're face to face, but I tell you what, we're never going to forget about each other. And if someone asks me about the Dr. Atud, I'm like, she's the greatest. I love hanging out with her.
But you are the greatest. I believe you are more of a poet than just like who talk about this, but you're just great, Richard. You are.
Doctor, I
And
don't want to put it down, but carpe diem, seize the day. Tomorrow we shall die. And if you
thank,
live every day as a romantic and as a poet, then pay it forward. Give compliments to people. Smile.
thank you.
Just try to have good days because you're getting older.
Thank,
You might as well start now.
thank you. Thanks, Richard. You have a line that I keep looking back to, and you say words should be used for light and warmth, not to burn.
Ah,
For
yeah.
me, that's like a moral philosophy of communication, not just a sales. It doesn't look like a sales tactic. And for me, in your industry, that is not something that is common. So here's the tension I want you to look at. In a business built the industry where persuasion. So, where exactly is the line between influence and using your kind of approach? How do you train the number of people you have trained to stay on the right side when the metric sometimes is pushing them? Maybe to stay on another side because they want to get the results because everyone is tracking the metrics and all that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I always believe that if your base foundation revolves around empathy, compassion towards others, you really can't go wrong. You have good faith and good intentions. But tell me this, when your best friend told you they loved you and believed in you when you were at your lowest, wasn't that the greatest thing you ever heard? That was light, that was warmth, and that was love. And then somebody that you believed in so disappointed you by saying something to you that was so unexpected. Well, that's the burn. And I mean, if you want to make fun of it, you could look at Eminem's movie 8 Mile, but that's what they do. Rappers go back and forth and have a rap battle. So they're not really trying to rip hard, they're just trying to be creative, and I get it. But when someone publicly defaces somebody or just rips into somebody, that's raw. And unfortunately, I'd rather get punched in the face 20 times than have the people that I love the most in this life say something to me that scars. And so you have to be exceptionally careful. And that's why, on the flip side, my friend, okay, about speaking about telemarketers, customer service agent, retention agents, okay, people that prospect, my thoughts were always keeping a positive tone because people could find offense. They could give you a negative reaction. They could place you in a category of other telemarketers that are bothering their company or you during dinner. And so, what two things can happen. An agent can burn out from it, or they can choose a campaign that compromises their ethics, values, and morals, sell sweepstakes and things, and just ruin our reputation. Or you could be the individual at the law firm for when somebody's having the worst day of their life, you walk them through the paperwork, or at the doctor's office, being Judy who picks up the phone and while you're having the worst day of your life, soothes you and gets you through that moment. And so I respect people that are capable of holding hands over the phone or walking people through a process. And I don't need to twist your arm, doctor. There's no forced hands here. That's a terrible sell. You know this from an extremely learned woman and educated, that from an educated point of view, individuals make a decision.
Yes.
So as long as my delivery is clear, concise, I answer all your questions, roll the dice. Maybe put a little Richard smile and spark to it, but that's just the way the game is played.
Wow.
And I'm okay with that, and I'll tell you why. As much as I wanna close every deal, India and the Philippines are half my price. I'm not a 24/7 shop, and we also don't speak other languages that people might require, like Chinese. So unfortunately, through an educated point of view on my end, "Doctor, I couldn't accept your account." "Yeah, but I wanna work with you." "Wanna work with you too. Love you." It's just not gonna fit, and so it's nothing personal, and don't be surprised that if you get a call a year later and go, "Hey, I spoke to Doctor Dude. She said you're the greatest. She
Wow.
recommended you even though you couldn't do business with her." And so most of my business, doctor,
Wow.
is
That
from referrals of when I left the Spark.
Wow, that's amazing. The human connection, the focus on the individual, and I like what you just said. Don't make it personal. Have a positive attitude. And for me, let's talk about this counterintuitive perspective. So
Mm,
most often we assume that communication problems are information problems. That if people just had more facts, they'd understand, but you have watched thousands of conversations succeed and you've seen some fail in real time. So for
yes.
me, is the real failure point information or is it something else entirely? Is it emotions? Is it pacing? Is it listening? I know you've talked about listening. Is it someone's ego? What does the data that you've looked at from success and failure tells you about why some messages land and others fail?
Well, yes, it's almost like a professor that won't time your exam. You don't feel rushed. I've been given the pass to pitch, either by a gatekeeper or a decision maker. And when that happens, the chains are removed. So when you're mentioning information, you have all the time in the world. You can even send more information. The information thing should not be the make or break. So I'm going to put that away if you get the pass to pitch. How do you get the pass to pitch? Well, you got to make sure you make a pretty good first impression. And so what happens is, doctor, that most people are not living in the now. They're living in the now if they're being, I don't know, physically involved. Like, let's say boxing, you're in the moment, or you're eating something, or there's some sort of sensation that your body is feeling. That's a now. But most of the time, you're just sitting around, you're thinking of, you're not here unless you have some sort of physical simulation. And so it's very difficult to get people's attention. And so I had a couple tricks that I did to at least allow you to jump clouds and have romantic deaths. How about this? You got to respect the kid that walks across the dance floor to ask his crush to dance. Even if she says no and he walks back, the whole school realized that versus that art. Even though you got rejected, you kind of learned from the learning experience that you are so bold and brave that
That's
nothing in the world can stop you. And so, and maybe she might say yes.
yeah,
And then you have the best night of your entire life. And
that's
so
right.
it's made on chances, and it's made on that sort of shoulders back, chest out, chin up, and just, as you say, allowing the sun to shine on you. And so how do I play this telemarketing game? Well, I always believe that when someone's name is mentioned, Dr. Vivian, You say it with compassion. And you say it like I've known you before. I know some other Vivians. You are the coolest I know, but I know other Vivians too. And so even if you know a Vivian, you're like, hey, Vivian, just pretend it's like your best friend that you met before. And so what happens is it's not like Vivian. I mean, that's weird. You could use anonymity in the beginning. Like if you pick up the phone, you're like, hello, hey, Vivian. You're like, hey, Richard Blank. It's a great way to start. What I used to do, I would always do a company name spike. Clarity Mandate, how are you today? And I'd say better than the person answering the phone. What does that do? And let's just use 30 seconds. That's all I'm going to give you. The rest is up to you. You do a company name spike with anonymity. So it almost sounds like you've been there before. And the way you say the name is so good, at least you got it out. It's almost like a speaking part in a movie. At least you had one line. You better say good. And you did it. And what happens, my friend, is that gatekeeper that is in that trance, black and blue from all the calls coming in, realizes this is a little bit different. It could be a family member, best client, or somebody. So there, what it is it's a positive reinforcement. Instead of saying, is this a sales call? Why are you calling? Take me off your list. And my favorite one, F you. Thank you. They usually say, who is this? And then I buffer that a little bit. Oh, I'm so glad that you asked, Judy. My name is Richard Blank, but I got a double dip because you're going to say, oh, Richard Blank, which company are you with? He didn't say, take me off your list. Who are you calling? No, I'm still in the comfort zone. Those four back and forth is 30 seconds of pauses, company name spike, introductions, who I am, asking once again who I am, because you like how I sound, Judy. And then I'm going to let you know, hey, Judy, when you transfer me to Vivian, I'm going to let her know how amazing you are. Oh, that's so nice, Richard. And then I get translated. Hi, this is Dr. Vivian Atud. Doctor, I just got to let you know, Judy's the greatest. You don't even know who I am yet. And you go, I know she is. I know she is too. And then we go over again. It's not the company name spike, it's the gatekeeper name spike. And you go, who is this? Richard Blank. Oh, Richard Blank, who are you with? Ah, come on. I got doctor for 2 minutes now. I'm definitely going to pitch my stuff. How do you like that? Let's just start instead of a 10 defense, let's drop it to a 6. And I'll take the 4 that you gave me and move that mass into a forward motion. Thank you. Well, and if you do that 150 times a day, you might catch someone at a good day. You might do the right thing. Your metrics will be better. You'll enjoy your day. You jump clouds. At least you did a company name spike, a positive escalation to the secretary, and you introduced yourself. Well, if you get killed after that, that's a great phone call, and your boss will be proud of you. That's all
Wow,
I gotta say.
that's amazing, Richard. Thank you for sharing those really amazing insight and methodology that you use. It looks to me it just sounds like a scientific methodology that really works, and the metrics like you put it can speak that it works. So everyone, let's talk about this. Everyone predicts AI will replace the call center. And you've spent 19 years building one based on human connections, and you're still growing. So I want you to structure what you are looking at as AI is going to handle, not going to, it's already handling lots of the routine. Um, so it's looking at lots of the things I'm sure in your industry you're already doing that. So what specifically becomes more valuable, not less, when we look at the future of the call center business? Where is the human premium going to lie, and where are you worried about the role of AI and your industry, if at all?
Well, I'll give a football term. I think AI can bring the ball down to the 10-yard line, and then it takes a human to put it into the end zone. Empathy is very important for final stages of relationships or onboarding. But in regards to gathering information, I think AI is fantastic. They haven't mastered yet the IVR, integrated voice response. Sometimes they don't hear you correctly, or they ask you to repeat it. And then there's also the uncanny valley where people get a little freaked out when robots and things like that act too human-like. We feel threatened. But there was a movie back in the day with Anthony Quinn called Zorba the Greek. I mean, while his ship was going down, his whole town was looking at him. What did he do? Just put his arms out and start dancing on the beach. I'm not Nero. I'm not playing my fiddle as Rome is burning, but I'm also realistic. And I realize things have certain times in life. And my run and my business happened at a beautiful time when we created such synergy and people, it was an incredible linguistic environment. People were just sharing. And then when COVID hit, I was fortunate to stay in business, doctor, by having things done virtual. And as much I was proud of that, it eliminated my personal essence. My essence, my friend, was walking in the rows and giving you five and being so proud of
That's
you
right.
and saying, "Good morning, Dr. Vivian. It's great to see you today and have a wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow." And not do I only miss that, you literally took away me. And I'm just now an administrator that writes checks. Hmm, qué pena. What a shame. And so once that happened, it wasn't a cold turkey like a smoker,
Mhm.
but I saw the gradual, and so I can accept it slowly. I don't have to pull it off slowly, the the wound, but, I feel I feel for the new generation coming in. It's not like they're gonna be missing out on a job. A lot of people don't like working at call centers. But what I did see, especially for myself, I just chose to make it a career, but anybody that's entered this sort of environment and then left, as much as they hated it and they just didn't enjoy it, each one said that it definitely built their soft skills and their interpersonal communication skills. And today, if things are omni-channel, non-voice like text, email, chat, what's happening is there's not that stimulation, there's not that face-to-face eye contact, body language reading, and just electromagnetic energy transfers that people can connect. And so I feel for this generation. Their stimulation is likes and clicks and subscribers, and that's all great and fun and dandy. But I'd rather be playing capture the flag with you and five of my friends on a summer afternoon. That's 10 times more fun. So that's where I see it, Doc. And how about this? And let me leave it like this as well. Where do I see it going? When I interview people, besides looking at their credentials, the one question I ask is, what is your coming of age moment? When was the time you were mentioning me? And coming of age can happen at any stage in life. You mentioned 27. Perfect. And you're right. I shed skin and I was born again like a phoenix. And so I wanted to know, when did you change? You asked the most brilliant question. When was your crossroads and you chose the right path? And some of the answers I get are generic and you're like, really? But some are creative. And then I start making nicknames for you. And then when you're having a terrible Wednesday, I'll walk by Doctor and I'll go, remember you saved that kitten out of the tree? Come on, kitten saver. Come on, Doc. And you know it's gonna pick you up, and you know we connected, and so those were the little things that reduced my attrition and had people show more fidelity because they really saw the depth of my interest in their careers and their development, and that's something you can't fake.
Wow.
Sincerity, you have to be consistent. And the fact that I'm 3,000 miles away from my mama, and I moved abroad, and I invested my life to assist this culture in my own way. Way. Looking back at it now, that's how I did it.
AI, like Richard puts it, no AI can bring the human connection, the empathy, the things. It's interesting. I mean, last month we had the CEO of Anthropic and the CEO of OpenAI out there in New York, and there was this conference where they invited the faith community, where I was talking about pastors, rabbis, and all the faith community. And they were asking them questions to help them in the next, call it the phase of looking at faith, things like empathy. They specifically asked them questions around things like funerals and pain and death and things. How does, because this is a community that have been out there doing funerals, doing things like this, and you want to bring this into AI, and I'm still watching to see how this comes. But that just tells us that there are certain industries, there are certain aspects of human life and connections, the hugs, the embrace we get like at funerals, and AI speech or whatever, it's not going to help us with that, because those kind of things, we still need the human. So, like you put it, I think every industry would be enhanced and not really replace the human aspect. Is still always going to be important. You actually have a scholarship at your old high school out there in
Yeah.
Philadelphia for kids who want to study a world language. And for me, and that for you, it's part of the things that really, it's the decision for you to live abroad and speak multiple languages, or bilingual, and now you are able to build an industry out there just because of knowing more than one language. And you've also built something for me with an intergenerational dimension to it. So as we begin to close this episode, I want you to talk to us about your thinking about the endowment scholarship, and where you see the future of this generation and languages, and the role that learning about different cultures, because it's interesting. So I want you to speak to what really guided your decisions to do what you're actually doing, and thank you in your community and your former high school there in Philadelphia.
Of course. Well, a lot of the times, advice that was given to me might not be the best advice for some other people. And so maybe just by setting the example, that second language scholarship was interesting for me. If I may disclose something to you, doctor, my grades in high school were terrible. I was immature, I wasn't focused, and my dedicated Spanish teacher, Doña Esperanza Galshak, wrote me a college recommendation letter. And that sparked something in me that could potentially be my major in college. And then the late Principal Norman Schmidt, without his college recommendation letter, there's absolutely no way I was going to get into the University of Arizona. No chance. And so my main man hooked me up, and he knew it too. And so what happens? uh, Destiny happened. If it wasn't for that, Arizona, Costa Rica, my beautiful wife, and my beautiful life. What do? You pay it forward. And so I also realized something else, doctor, that you can put your phone down and still speak a second language. I don't need technology. I don't need to bring it with me, and I don't need Google to look it up real quick. Anybody that learns a second language, that's dedicated practice. That's above and beyond the classroom. That's someone that really loves it. And so someone like me that did it, I go, man, oh man, it's like the gym. You see the muscles.
Yep.
And it's just a simple way for me, my friend, just to say, thank you, Abington Senior High School, for believing in me
Wow.
when I was a dumb 18-year-old kid that had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And at least you gave me a little bit of a push in the right direction and wind in my sails. And I don't forget those things, doctor. I don't forget this time that we're spending together. And so anytime that there have been people that have entered my life that are just amazing people that shine, and they're just beautiful people, it's my pleasure to speak so well of them behind your back. Wait till I talk about you to everybody, doctor. I'm going to talk about you to everyone.
Thank
Yeah, that is what you want. You want people to speak about you behind your back in such a way that when they meet you, they say your reputation preceded you. And that's my goal. And, unfortunately, Norman Schmidt is not with us anymore. But the beautiful thing is, I'm still speaking about this man. It's not my family, but he kind of was. He did something great for me. And so always remember those along your path. Mention
Wow.
their names.
Wow. God bless the family of Principal Norman Schmidt, who is not here, but his family and all of you who were students in the high school during his reign. That's just amazing. And guess what? You're sowing the same seeds that he sowed in your life, and you're doing even more to the students. And guess what? I can only imagine how many students out there are saying, God bless Richard Blank for giving me this opportunity to learn this. And thank you. I think everyone that is of good heart out there listening to this kind of story and just reaching out and helping students get a chance, like the principal gave you a chance. Your Spanish teacher gave you the recommendations and all that. And that's amazing. So, Richard, what's next for you as we begin to close? And how can people find you? So that we'll put all that in the show notes, but just say it so that people hear it.
I don't know about you, but I love cameo videos, and I always get them from my favorite people. I just treated myself to a cameo from Mr. T, one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
And Mr. T gave me some beautiful advice. He says, Richard, I want you to stop and smell the roses. You've worked so hard. Enjoy your life. And so looking back at it, I could have taken more time to do more things, but I was too focused on growing the business. But doctor, not now. I want to slow down. I want to enjoy. And so that's next for me. But if someone wants to reach out, you can shoot me an email at CEO at Costa Rica's callcenter.com. And listen, no obligation, but if anybody in your audience wants to run by a script by me or some rebuttals and say, hey, Richie, what do you think of this? Just say, Dr. Vivian Atud, and don't worry, I will take care of it for you and give you my best advice. And doctor, I can't thank you enough. You bring the best out of your guests. I had a wonderful time with you this morning, and I'm a super fan.
Thank you, Richard. I am having fun. I don't know, but the word that came to my mind when I was replying to your last email, I was like, Richard, if you are still available, let's have a conversation. Let's have fun. And I think I've had really more than I asked for, and I'm truly grateful. Richard Blank, a communicator who turned a one-way trip into a life's work and a call center into really a human communication, warmth kind of environment. And he has given us today his playbook, his tactics, his mechanics, his philosophy. And it is clear he's talked about discipline. He's emphasized human connection. He's emphasized empathy. And he's emphasized really valuing human beings, and he turned his workplace into really a fun place. You go to his business. I think one day when I'm in Costa Rica, I want to visit and play some games with Richard. But everyone out there, you want to find Richard, we're going to put the links and his email and everything. What's next for Richard? Slowing down, and that's just amazing. Slowing down, having some fun with his family and doing the things that he really wanted to do. And the world doesn't need more information. We need more clarity. We need more thinking. And the mandate from Richard is clear. Now it's yours to go and make use of some of the things that he has shared. This is Dr. Vivian Atud, and always my pleasure to have you on the Clarity Mandate. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks, Richard.